Today is January 12th, 2018. It's MMA Junky Radio.
Sorry, it's MMA Junky Radio pre-show, the show before the show. I am Goes. To the left, to my left is Dan Tom.
I hear children cry.
They sound like Bubs.
Watch them grow.
He is MMA Junky Radio's fight analyst. And back in New York, producer Danny Otto. Danny, I guess you got to do a voice now.
That hurt me. I don't know what to do.
That's pretty good, Danny. All right. We like it.
Yay.
That's the voice I use when like I get a number that I don't recognize. I just answer it like that.
Hello.
Hello. You guys as Kimbo?
No, that's Willie.
Oh, it's Willie?
Yeah.
Do Kimbo.
Huh?
Do Kimbo.
No, Kimbo hurts a lot, dude. Kimbo's funny,
really
but
quick.
Kimbo, literally the whole day my voice will hurt.
Just say like 2 things.
It already hurts from Willie, so I'll do it on Monday. I can't.
No.
Oh, do you have it?
I don't.
So, technically,
sorry.
Danny, can you play it?
Yes. Give me a second.
Nah,
see?
Yeah, that was your opportunity. For those of you wondering what the hell is going on, it's to date this girl that I asked her one time. Every Sunday, Danny asks who's going to be on the show this week. And he happened to ask that time. So I go, hey, instead of sending him who's going to be on the show, can you just insult him? And so she kind of laughed, and she was like, all right. And then when I put the camera on her, she just completely fudged it up. And instead, she said that she couldn't do it because she's too nice. But for some reason, she turned into like a little troll, or I don't know what, and she just went, I can't. Like, she doesn't really sound like that.
You're up in a minute.
That's funny.
I think I have it here.
I have it.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah, I don't know why she sounded like that. Kind of weird.
Very weird.
But that's
It'd
how.
be even weirder if she listened.
To the show?
Yeah.
She's aware that gets passed around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as she knows.
Yeah, that conversation started off as, damn it, Brian, that's why I don't like to be on camera.
She should have known at any point that if you were recording to send me something, that most likely it was going to be used again.
Oh, yeah. No, trust me, I don't feel bad one bit. She's done some evil things to me.
Coming up, stand by.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junky Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junky Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junky Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junky Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junky Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junky Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junky Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the MMA Junky Studios live in Las Vegas, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you're listening to the MMA Junky Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm George. That's Goes. That's Dan. Back east, it's Danny. What's up?
Wow, that was quick.
It's the end of the week.
Different. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I want to get into that story you pointed to because I saw it on as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Smith joins the UFC. But at the same time, we have our guest for today, Shannon Knapp, coming on earlier than usual. Than we have our show guests. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll bounce out to a quick break, the little break that we usually do at the end. So we're doing things in reverse. But what'd you think of that news? Jimmy Smith joins the UFC broadcast team. I don't think anyone's shocked, right?
No, I think it's really cool. I just want to figure out, like, if you look at the stable of people they have now, what's going to determine that rotation? There's actually quite a bit of them, isn't there?
Well, there's Dominic Cruz.
There's Paul Felder, there's Daniel Cormier,
Dan Hardy.
Well, at least that one we kind of know that's their, out in the UK,
Asia.
But still, like, I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be like a formula to it or how that's all going to play out. But those are all quality people.
I'll take him as the color commentator as long as we keep the fighters in there as the third man.
Yeah.
And when Jimmy can't be there, then I was plenty happy with what Cruz and DC were bringing to the table. Both elder statesmen, both wore gold at one time. Both are very technical. Dominic's a little bit more technical, but Daniel being less of a technical guy is actually more pleasing to me in a way. I think sometimes Dominic might be a bit too much because it's all happening so fast that a guy like myself, I think I can understand it for sure. People that have competed and trained, and for sure they're getting it all. But even myself, I fall behind a little bit, so I can only imagine people that just casually watch. Could that be a bit much? But that said, Dominic's dialed it back. DC adds a little bit of humor. So I've been pleasantly surprised with the stable of fighters we had. It's almost like Jimmy Smith was 3 years late for when we really needed him. When Rogan was already kind of taking a step of outside, possibly leaving the UFC is I think when he would have landed. Now we'll take him, come aboard. A great addition. But yeah, just that's my reaction.
I think he blends being technical and just being kind of that everyday guy. Somebody that you feel like you could just walk up to in a bar and just talk about mixed martial arts and he wouldn't make you feel stupid or anything.
Yeah.
So I like him. I like Jimmy Smith a lot.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jimmy Smith as well. Like you guys said, very technical, also blends the everyday guy thing. And I got to imagine, like George said, even though it seems a little top-heavy in comparison of color to play-by-play, you got to imagine this is a move for the future, right, for when Joe Rogan, because he's been talking about it for a while now, and some speculate that 2018, if you're a betting man, maybe you might get, minus 300 odds or so that this could be Joe Rogan's last year. So in that spirit, it's a good pickup, even if it might seem top-heavy at the time right now.
Right. He has a quote here that says, "I am honored to join the world's premier combat sports brand in 2018. It's a privilege to call the fights for a living, and I can't wait to join the tremendous UFC broadcast team to call the best fights in the world. To the UFC fans, I'm thrilled to join you in this wild ride. See you all very soon." Now, this is a few days removed from Bellator announcing that Big John is taking his place.
Yeah.
So, the two heavyweights of mixed martial arts, UFC and Bellator, kind of shaking things up to start 2018. Are you excited more about one or the other? I'll go first. Dying to say this. I think Big John. I think he'll be. I'm anticipating him joining the Bellator broadcast. So his call of fights, I'm anticipating that a little bit more, just because of what I'm used to seeing from the NFL for the last 5 years. Let's send it up to Mike Pereira. We're all lost, man. Even like Troy Aikman and people that played the game were like, well, is it a fumble? Is it not? I mean, there's so much confusion, and those guys clear a lot of things up. So I'm anticipating that. And again, Jimmy's stepping into a role where they already, I believe, are fine. But it's a close race. But I'm anticipating more to hear how John calls it. Now, after show one, I could be like, what was I thinking? Because Jimmy Smith is solid. John might flop, but I don't think he will. But yeah, I just thought the other one was a little bit more of a mover, a shaker.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with you. I think it's no disrespect to Jimmy Smith. It's just this is going to be something that's different, right? Big John's going to offer a little bit something more. And really, when you think about it, like, what he does is amazing, just knowing all the rules, but not just knowing all the rules, but knowing where he's at and what rules apply at what time. Because can you imagine, like, the NFL, if you're watching a game and, oh, that's not pass interference. We're in Charlotte this week. Like,
right.
How insane would that be, right? And Big John knows all that stuff. So
now he could be a pain in the ass to a lot of people if he's overdoing it with Charlotte and Rule 2.5 and that ref is wrong and boy, you got it wrong, Goldie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It could be somebody that has so much knowledge, if he's not careful about how much he's throwing out there and just, you know, disrupting it, you know, it could backfire a little bit. So he'll have to dial it back. So, again, we'll have to give them each like about half dozen shows maybe just to see how they're coming about. But I have a feeling that after his first show, which is next next Saturday the 20th of January, I think that following Monday we'll come in and go on, hey, he really added something to it. The broadcast.
One thing that people forget that's a part of this job, okay, not every organization does this, but when the fight's over and they put their arm around the fighter and they interview them, that itself is an art.
Yeah.
Okay? I think Cormier's actually getting pretty good at that. I think Paul Felder's really good at that as well. Okay? Is Big John going to be able to go in there and ask those type of questions? I don't know. But it's to be seen, right? But we know that Jimmy Smith can do it. Jimmy Smith's actually really good at it. So we'll see.
That's true. That's true. A lot of people, a lot of these guys do a few of those that are really, a few of those positions that are really important. John Anik is a play-by-play guy, yet he goes in. Most of the time, the color commentator goes in. Oftentimes, they'll have the third man in the booth go in. But that is an art in itself. All right. Well, congratulations to Jimmy Smith for joining the UFC here in 2018. And we'll see how that works out. I think he definitely put in his time with Bellator. So it's not like you can call him, you know, one of those guys that's just a franchise jumper or anything like that. Grass is greener. He put in his time, and it looked like there was a perfect moment maybe for him to possibly move in. Now, Rogan, I believe his contracts go August to August. So we'll see if Rogan's finishing things up.
Yeah, that's right. It is August, yeah.
Yeah. Habib and Tony's starting to really warm up. I'm hearing these different rumors on different websites or through social media. Except what I'm hearing, well, I'll just cut to it. Rogan's thinking that they may strip Conor McGregor and that Tony and Habib happens in Russia. Now, I'm hearing that it won't happen in Russia, but I am hearing the UFC is going to Russia. But what I'm not sure about, the first person I heard of any knowledge to say Conor may get stripped is Rogan. And the way he described it, it almost sounded like, yeah, you know, maybe that guy's just got a lot of money and he's just going to hang back. And could it be the best situation for McGregor, a guy who, much respect to him for what he's done, but we've always said there's been some shortcuts to these paths to get to the title. And the UFC's helped him manage and navigate through some of that. So could it be that by doing that step away, he allows one guy to take out the other rather than have to face both? You know, and what comes behind him are some more beasts. You know, I'm a big believer in Kevin Lee having a skill set that's necessary to take a striker off his ass and make him suffer, you know, and exploit the submission weaknesses. So you got your Gaethjes, your Lees, your Alvarez's, Poirier's, the ones that are coming, you know, behind those two. But in a way, he lets those two solve each other, and that's just one less guy he has to face. And then when it's the moment of truth, or who knows, or maybe by then he buys himself enough time that he faces Nate Diaz, and then someone else gives the other guy a loss, and now he's just rid himself, you know, because we were waiting for Lamas, Mendez, Edgar. Oh, let's see how McGregor gets through all those, and he never had to go through any of them.
Yeah.
He went straight to Aldo and blasted him because he's a great striker, and he blasted another great striker. So could it be that
Frankie went through him?
He's doing this? Who?
Mendez.
Frankie,
I mean, that was one of those situations where, I mean, it's not just the fight, you guys. It's the camp. It's everything you put your body through. It's just one more thing. Fuck, if I was Conor, that's what I'd be thinking.
I think so, too.
Let those two juggernauts go at it.
Figure that out. Let GSP and Woodley figure themselves out, you know, and maybe I'll get the winner of that guy. I mean, let them destroy each other, and then I'll just step in at the right time, strike, and roll the dice, you know, and just tell everyone I'm going to do it in the first round, and if I pull it off, I'm the greatest thing ever, and if not, well, hopefully I still get the win, but not in the first round, and I'm still kind of the greatest thing ever. And if I lose and I act with class, professionalism, and ask my coach, can I get him in the rematch? And if so, then we'll start it up. We'll start it up again, you know, the cockiness, and take it to him. And if not, maybe it's just the right time to bounce out and go, hey, who else did what I did? Which is very tough to topple what he did. In terms of, there have been two other multiple division champions, but did they make as much money and shake up the sport? And also, were they able to go and box? Hell no. You know what I mean? he's really, really distanced himself from any other superstar in the UFC, including Ronda Rousey.
It's true.
All right, we got to take an early break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. It's Friday, January 12th. It's our last show of the week. So we'll catch up with Invicta FC president Shannon Knapp. Invicta FC has Invicta FC 27 on the docket for tomorrow night. It can be watched on the UFC Fight Pass. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about that card, show times, main event, all that stuff. So give us a few minutes. We'll be right back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93.
Charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Wow, that Michael Jackson, man. Could never strike out with him.
No, I'm wondering right now if we left Shannon on hold for a couple minutes, if she'd just be cool with it because she's jamming to the music, or if
She
she'd be
put it
like,
on
nah.
speaker, took a
I
step
think she's
back,
down.
and she started doing a little bit of the groove.
I think so too. I think she's
Watch,
digging
and
this
then when
song.
we go, joining us now is Invicta President Shannon Knapp. You're going to hear like a fumble of the phone. That's her putting it from speaker back to the phone and then going, hi, guys, and making sure she's not out of breath.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't groove to Michael Jackson? Yes, Shannon Knapp will be our next guest. She's the president of Invicta Fighting Championships. You can follow her on Twitter at Shan Knapp, and that's SHANKNAPP. Now, tomorrow night, Invicta FC 27, first show of the year for them to kick things off, and it'll be on the UFC Fight Pass, as it has been for the past few years. And let me tell you something, they get high ratings over there, man. I know that's something that people don't like to talk about, or they really can't put out. I think the UFC has basically said, hey, keep this between us, or they don't really divulge that, right? But I know some peeps that this is the #1 show on the UFC Fight Pass. They do very well. And so here they go, starting things off. It's Invicta FC 27. Your main event tomorrow night will be Sarah Kaufman and Penny Kianzad. Joining us now on the hotline is Shannon Knapp. Hi, Shannon. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Been a while.
Were you grooving?
I was still in the beat.
Love it. All right. Yeah, who isn't a Michael Jackson fan? And here we go, kicking off 2018 with Invicta FC 27. Tell me a difference between Invicta FC 27 and Invicta FC 1. How has your show matured over the years? Like, what's something that happened this week that for sure you didn't do in, the first time around?
There's so much. I mean, from first to now, there's been a lot of changes. We do our weigh-ins different. We do the early weigh-in now. The broadcast, I think we've gotten better at what we do. And in terms of our production, the athletes, watching them grow and change, there's been so much. It's been a good ride, that's for sure.
Stitch Duran is a good friend of ours, and when he went out there, I remember after one of the first couple shows, he remarked, these guys are on top of it. They know what they're doing. They really run a professional show. The ladies had everything they needed available to them. So from day one, I think at least the word around the campfire has been that this is a top-notch show without a doubt.
What's funny is sometimes people ask me about that, and it's, I kind of came up through the ranks. I don't know how to do a show different, I guess would be I always worked at that higher level, and that was really what I wanted, even though we were much smaller, of course, wanted to bring that experience over to provide a good environment for the athlete.
Now, Shannon, I wanted to ask you, along this journey from Invicta FC 1 to 27, a lot of people fail to realize, too, that, you have to give credit for the fact that you guys are still kicking ass. Again, I put it out there from what I hear, you're the top show on the UFC Fight Pass. That on top of the roster purge. I mean, think about all the athletes that went over to the UFC. And I know it was with your blessing, and I know you have a great relationship with Dana White, but still, it hurt, but yet you stocked up the shelves pretty damn good over these years.
Yeah, I think that, we are all about the female athlete, and I think that we're able to make stars quicker here for some reason. We can turn it around. There's a ton of young athletes coming through. And to be honest with you, that's really the commitment I made when I stepped into this spot, is that, it's going to build these divisions out and provide these opportunities and change the game for the women. And, hopefully that's what we're doing every day.
Invicta FC was over 5 years ago. Have you had that moment yet where a young lady, maybe a high schooler or junior high girl, was in the audience and told you, one day I'm going to fight for your organization, and now she's there yet? Kind of like that picture you see of McGregor when Chuck Liddell was in Ireland and McGregor was like a teenager. They took a picture, and now years later McGregor's the biggest star in MMA. Have you had those type of young ladies that have now matured and become professionals under your banner?
Absolutely. A lot of it comes from, you'll have athletes that reach out to you on the internet, or they're watching and they're 15, 16, they're just training, starting, and then, 5 years down the road, here they come,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the best part. Honestly, that's, really, I think why I do this is, to help them achieve that goal and that dream. It's cool to be part of that.
Yeah.
Give them a safe environment to get their legs under them in the sport and, help them, grow into the complete athlete and go on to be superstars somewhere. And, that's kind of the cool thing.
We actually got to see one of those rides up close with Aspen Ladd fighting through Tough Enough, and Goz and I called some fights there, and then they were linked to Tough Enough, and Invicta were linked where the winner of a tournament got a contract with you guys, and then Aspen Ladd went and fought for you all and did great, and now she's fighting for the UFC. So we've kind of seen that journey ourselves.
Yeah, it's fun to be part of it, isn't it? I mean, even if you're doing commentary, you feel connected to these kids.
Yeah.
So, it's cool to be part of that journey.
Who was that name, Goz?
Jamie Moyle as well.
Jamie Moyle, yeah, that's right. And
Oh, yeah, Jamie.
Yeah, and now I'm keeping an eye on Frank Mear's daughter. I think she's like 16, but I'm thinking
right.
like 18 or 20 or whenever she's ready. Watch, she'll be an Invicta World Champion as well. Shannon Knapp joining us here on MMA Junkie Radio. Now let's talk about the card. All right, in the main event, Sarah Kaufman versus Pani Kianzad. I love Sarah Kaufman's boxing. I've always enjoyed her fights. I think you got a quality fighter there in Sarah Kaufman, probably one of the hardest hitters at 35. Tell me a little bit more, though, about Pani Kianzad and about this matchup itself, please.
I think stylistically, they match up well. I think, Pani has had some struggles, but she's pulled it back together. When she first came over, she's undefeated. She's had a couple losses here in Invicta, but, I think she's really turned things around, and I think this is going to be an incredibly competitive fight. I think Sarah's been out for a bit, and I think that the matchup itself is extremely good, and I think it's going to be some fireworks on that one.
Definitely. In the co-main event, we have Vanessa Porto, who is, she's a pioneer of mixed martial arts, man. I've seen her fight. I think it was in L.A. What was that show called?
Fatal Femmes.
Fatal Femmes. Yeah, I've seen her fight for a long time. She'll be battling another Brazilian, Mariana Moraes. Talk about your co-main event on Saturday night, Shannon.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a real good one. We turned Vanessa around pretty quick on this one. She fought on the last event. Both high records, both incredibly talented, both trying to get to that next step. And I think this is a matchup that you know me. I'm always going to tell you all my matchups are great because that's what I believe. So I feel like I'm repeating myself, but this matchup's good. I think you're going to see a lot of stand-up in this one. And, Mariana hasn't been here for a while. I think her last fight with us was against Roxanne Modafferi. But she's had some wins outside of Invicta, and now she's back, and this one's going to be a good one, too.
Yeah, two Brazilians fighting each other here at Invicta FC 27. All right, Goes, what do you have for Shannon Knapp?
Shannon, I'm sure females have leaned on you before for advice for their career. When they do that, is there a particular fighter that you could point to and say, this is the model career, you should study this person? Who would that person be?
Wow. The model career. Wow. You're going to make me think hard on that one. Yeah, I'm thinking, well, it depends. If it's all about the money, then you look at someone and you go, okay, well, who's made the most money and this kind of thing. Dang, this one's tough. I'm stumped on that one, guys. I'd have to really think about that.
George, you want to throw one out?
What I think is a model career. Throw some names out.
It depends. Okay.
I was going to say maybe Misha would be good.
Well, what I liked about Misha is she was always pretty classy along the way. Every once in a while, the claws came out.
I like that.
But you never really noticed that the claws came out because she swept that up really, really quick. You know what I mean? She had the Kaufman, Misha Tate, Ronda controversy over at Strikeforce. But, look at her. She's now on Fox. And remember, this is a young lady who, I think her last fight, the UFC president wanted to send her to the hospital. And she was like, hey, F no, I'm not going, and still they had breakfast, they worked it out. So on that side, yeah, on the bad girl side, it's so easy to just say Ronda. I'll say Ronda right now while I think of another one maybe, but I liked how Felice was able to appeal, and she used really, really creative costumes along the way, and she made a spectacle out of her weigh-ins and brought attention to herself. But still, when she got in there, she was feisty. She could fight. So there's a few of them that have done great, and I guess it would be up to each individual girl as to what her personality's like and what she's willing to put out of herself out there.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was at. But, to be honest with you, when you first asked that question, I didn't think about just women. I was thinking about overall. I was thinking about men, women, just the career within the sport itself. And I was like, wow, that's going to take a minute to think about. Because there are some amazing stories throughout the sport, whether you're male or female. But I have to agree with you both. I do like the fact that Misha always stayed classy. I like the fact, though, that Ronda was able to elevate the sport and, make a lot of money. So I think it really does come down to, what the appetite for, the athlete has for that success.
Yeah. Shannon, now, the landscape of female mixed martial arts has changed so much in the last 5 years, and you're a big cause of that. Now, when kids are in school, in high school or whatever, and you have that day where everybody goes, "What do you want to be when you get out of high school and all that?" I think a female can say a mixed martial artist, and nobody's going to think that's weird anymore because they've broken through so many of those barriers. If you were put in that position where now you're one of these girls in high school, do you think maybe you would have ever thought about going that route of fighting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Back then I wanted to be a ninja. I wanted to be many, many things, so absolutely. I was very intrigued by combat sports. Of course, I'm 50 years old, so that's a really long time ago. But, yeah, I think if I think that, the sport was where it is today and the opportunities exist. Boston, those guys used to make fun of me. They'd be like, oh, nobody's your size to fight, Shanita. Because you're $10, you're $5. Nobody nothing was going on. And so it's really funny that it has changed that much and that there are young girls out there that, have stars in their eyes and this is what they want to do. but with full disclosure, as I say that, I always try to make sure that the athletes think about the future as well. So, I have some athletes that go to college and they fight here, and, I want them to stay in college because, this is a tough gig. It's a tough sport. So sometimes I haven't been known to say stay in college or you can't be here. And I just want them to succeed all around in life, not just, when it comes to fighting, because someday that career ends.
One of those young ladies is returning to you all in a certain capacity. I'm talking about UFC champ Amanda Nunes. She's now going to help with matchmaking and talent scouting. Who thought of that idea, Shannon? Did she come to you? Did you guys go to her? And talk about that big announcement this week.
I've had some struggles lately with, communications with the athletes that come from Brazil. And, there's been some shady stuff down that way with management. And it's tough to communicate, and to give an athlete that, that safe zone to feel where they can communicate. So it's been on my mind. And, we had a mutual friend that Amanda had mentioned, she'd been at the last event. She'd helped with some of the interpreting, that, she'd like to be part of it. She'd like to give back, this kind of thing. And I reached out. We talked about it. And I think it's a great fit. I think that, just watching her at this event, with the athletes that are signing in, because we do have a lot of athletes that come from Brazil.
Uh-huh.
And just the sense of, that the feeling that, like, I can tell that they just feel connected and, are able to feel like they can communicate. I like that. That's probably one of the biggest reasons I wanted to make this move. I want everybody to feel good when they get here.
Right.
And I think having somebody like Amanda that genuinely does care, and has, she fought with, signed her at Strikeforce, had her, she fought here at Invicta for a little bit.
Right.
Now she's in the UFC. So we've worked together, for a long time, and I think she handles herself well, and I think she'll do well in the position.
I agree. I think it's a great signing. All right, but, of course, on hand right now is Invicta FC 27. It happens tomorrow night on the UFC Fight Pass with an 8 p.m. Eastern start time. Check it out, folks. You will thoroughly enjoy it. Veteran Ashley Cummins, who's been on the show, will fight Stephanie Alba, who's also been on the show. Ashley Nichols versus Sharon Jacobson. The co-main event is Vanessa Porto versus Mariana Moraes. And in the main event, you got Sarah Kaufman versus Pani Kianzad. And this is Invicta President Shannon Knapp that's joined us here. Give her a follow on Twitter at Shan Knapp. Shannon, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And good luck tomorrow night with Invicta FC 27.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
All right.
Happy New Year, guys.
You too.
Hope you have a great year.
All right. Thank you. All right, folks. That is Shannon Knapp. She said it right. She goes, it's been a while. Yeah, that's our bad. We should connect with her a little bit more because this is the home of so many of these stars that we now talk about on this show, like Rose Namajunas, like Amanda Nunes, even Chris Cyborg. A lot of them have come through there. Oh yeah, the list goes on and on there, and they've done work there. You know what I mean? And so now slowly they are developing that new crop, and so that's why you got to tune in. All right, folks, that is Shannon Knapp again. At Shan Knapp, that's ShanKnapp. Let her know you heard her on the @MMA Junkie radio show with @MMA Junkie George and @TheGoes and @Dan Tom MMA. All right, let's get the next break out of the way. That way we can come back and really dive into the news, take some calls, not have any interruptions. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. Oh, wow.
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been. And because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junky Radio.
Start your day with SiriusXM. Enable the SiriusXM skill on your Amazon device. Then tell Alexa to set an alarm for your favorite channel. You wake up to the sounds of SiriusXM. With SiriusXM and Alexa, you can get the latest sports news each morning without picking up your phone or turning on your TV. Why are you and Dan looking at each other? Did you guys choose this song? Or is one responsible for the Michael Jackson run here?
Block Friday.
Oh.
But you know the way the song sounds, it kind of sounds like there could be like a malfunction, right, with the equipment.
Oh.
But it's really the song.
I could probably choose 20 songs before I get to this one, though.
I know, but we've done a lot of
Some
Michael
of the other
Jackson,
ones?
so we gotta like switch it up.
This is about the time where I was like, well, he was cool, you know.
That's still a good song.
I
though.
used
You
to
didn't like
listen
this one? Can you turn it up, Danny?
You know what I felt was he had kind of taken a page out of Janet Jackson's type of beat. And I was like,
But
bro, you
she's
can
in this
stand
song.
up. Oh, she is?
Yeah, that's what made it so cool is they did brother and sister.
No. Well, it shows you what I know. Like I said, I liked him through the 80s, and then in the 90s, he kind of like, he cooled off a little bit from being cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, like,
I thought Remember the Time was cool, the music video.
maybe the later
black and
90s.
white.
Maybe the later 90s. Just, you can only be cool for so long, and then after a while, you have to come back with a resurgence. There's few bands that can kind of like stay relevant for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then that,
Tell
and then
Madonna that. Somebody's got to pull her aside and go, hey, we need to talk.
yeah, and then and then you had the allegations. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people just wanted to distance themselves from it, but you know, then you go through this phase where I think you're more worried about what others think of what you think or do, and so yeah, it's that 20s, maybe early 30s, and then you come back, go fuck it. At this point, you know, I am what I am. I like who I like. And then you start to let everybody know, yeah, I was a Jackson fan the whole time. Look it, you know, whatever. But I think this song was just one I didn't resonate with me as much.
Hey, our picks came out. And anybody who follows this will see that we have 4 new people picking this year. That's
Dan
pretty
Tom's
cool, right?
one of them. Who are the others?
Dan
So
Tom,
sweet.
Abby, Trent, Ken.
Nice.
Really? Oh, Trent
Yeah.
got some love too?
Yeah, so we have 4 new people. I wish they would have spoken to me about this because since I'm your guys' real dad, I mean, if I told you you had 4 new kids that you had to watch over, probably want to know that, right? But
Oh, yeah. Did they give you some love?
yeah, all the champs go up at top.
No, that's not what I mean. Was there within the post, did they give you props for winning?
Oh, I don't know. Hey, how come, I think Mike Bond should, oh, because he's doing it in, forget it.
Alphabetical?
That was pretty cool, though, that Mike Bond did the percentages throughout the years. And I think it was Dan Stupp, right, that was at the top.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
And Mike Bond was too, right? I'm going to fill you in on a little secret, though.
Maybe.
His year 1 was amazing. I'm not taking anything away.
Yeah.
Pull year 1 out, and that percentage drops. Kind of joins the pack a little bit. But you
Gets
leave
back
it
to
in there,
reality.
and he's up there at number 2. And Dan's obviously the most consistent one. Within that body of that story, is there any love for you?
Let's see.
Any love for the former king?
No.
Damn,
That's
no
current-
acknowledement at all that
current
you won
King
this damn
Dan
thing
Stupp,
last year?
Dan Tom.
This is suffering, man, for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Huh. Who wrote the story, Matt or Dan?
Diana. Matt did.
I said Diana? I said Dan.
I thought you said Diana.
No, Matt or Dan?
Matt did.
Hmm.
He's on my list. My record.
They should have wrote something. Congratulations. Even if it's one line, congratulations to last year's winner, Goes, or Brian. I think they call him Brian throughout the site, for winning this prestigious deal here that we have for the last 4 years. We're entering our 5th. And, of course, he joins Dan Stupp, Ben Folks, Mike Bond. Boom, we move on. With some sort of acknowledgement. I
Well-
believe work gets put into that. We're chasing people down.
This is
You know,
only
when-
going to
when
make
Dan
me more
sends that-
annoying.
Sorry, when Matt sends that warning, hey, guys, 2 hours to go, and there's always those 2-3 momos that are always lagging.
Right.
I privately send them a text because I want this thing to run smooth. I really like the staff picks. I think it's cool, that it happens between all of us. But at some point, you do have to stand back and go, who won it? And then you take off your hat, or you give them a deep bow. Anything, man.
I really try my best not to be that guy that gets the picks in late. But I think it's happened like 3 times. So I think I might be on that Mount Rushmore.
No, Morocco and Folks.
Morocco and Folks lead
For
the charge.
sure, yeah.
They're right in the middle. But I might be
I have
a
to
guy
literally
flanking.
fucking hike up a hill and
You're pretty good about
knock on some
Bond, I think
they have
probably
like
up there.
this treehouse / cabin,
Mhm.
and they just got these big old beards like caveman. I have to knock on them. Well, you guys don't check technology, your phones, your computers. They need you, And then sure enough, it comes in and they do it. I'm one of the first to do it because I just want to get it out of the way, and I can look at the matchup and go, that guy, that guy, that guy, that gal, whatever.
Mhm.
Now, maybe I suffer more through these because I have to see all these cats. So I've had plenty of conversations regarding the stat picks with a lot of the fighters on why a certain choice may have been
I've
made
had a
as
few.
a site.
I haven't had that many,
I've had
though.
a lot.
You have?
Text, in person, you name it.
Never in person. I've had a few texts before.
Yeah, like, why the landslide? Somebody wants to tell me why the landslide. like I don't. Like, I'm not,
Can we share names?
No, I can't do that.
No?
No.
Okay.
Why the landslide? One guy told me, like, I think
I
there
had
was one. Somebody had love for him. It wasn't even me on that one.
I had a current champion hit me up.
And
about
I had
it
to tell him, well, we tend to.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you
a
can-
current champion?
That's
current
bad.
champion
You
hit me
picked
up
against the
about
current champion?
it. Yeah.
Can you share that one?
This particular.
Because I don't want mine to sound bad, and I think he wound up losing. But it was a competitive fight. He just felt like, damn, like, I'm pretty good, too. It was a ranked fighter. I'm pretty good, too. Why the landslide, he said. But at least yours was a... Oh, you picked against him, or a bunch of us picked against him?
You and I did, and then I think it was a pretty good amount of guys that did it. I mean, I think he was just joking, but it was just a text that said, interesting or something like that. And I went, what's up, champ? And then he put the link.
I know, man. Oh, shit.
This
People
guy
we
too.
knew.
That guy.
Can you
Oh,
give,
really?
Can you give
Yeah.
listeners a hint?
Nah,
No, I mean, that gives
They're
it away.
athletic and explosive.
Yeah.
Oh,
Both of
They're both athletic and
oh
explosive.
no.
Back to Jimmy Smith. I'm trying to figure out when's his first show. Does it say?
Yeah, I think it said in the. Let's go back.
Oh, it did? Okay, I'm trying to scan this story as best as possible. This happened while I was driving in, so I didn't see. It does say good? I don't see it.
I thought I heard.
It just
someone
says,
say-
get ready for this wild ride. I'm thrilled to join you for this wild ride. See you all very soon.
Was he Mr. Toad?
But I don't see when it may start, when it may begin. Well, it's not this week because I know Felder calls the fights this week. And next week, I would imagine, is Rogan and somebody.
What do you think they feel
It's not
like
Cormier's. It's got to be Cruz. Who knows?
when news like this is announced? If you're Paul Felder, are you like, awesome? That makes this organization. Or there's got to be a piece of them that kind of goes, damn, right?
Right. I think it's closer to damn. But publicly, it'll be, that's awesome. This makes the organization more solid. If you're Felder, you're kind of last in line, and you got to believe Cruz and Cormier are hard to
But
topple.
he's jumped. I think.
And I think Hardy's got
more than
love
them.
as well. And Hardy kind of has the UK on lock and Asia and Australia sort of on lock, depending on what's happening. Now, again, if it's a three-man booth, then I don't think anybody's sweating it. Then I think Smith is going to be pretty damn consistent. I think you'll get him on pay-per-views, Big Fox, and assorted fight nights, possibly. But, I mean, he's used to traveling. Like, he pretty much did every Bellator show, right?
pretty much.
And they started really amping things up. They did, I think, 24 shows last year. And so that would cover every pay-per-view and every Fox for sure.
You gotta have the right chemistry.
I just don't know if he's got a family or not. I know Rogan's got 2 daughters, and he's got the podcast, comedy. And from time to time, there's a television gig that pops up.
There's only so much airtime during a fight that you want to make sure that everybody gets touched on. Like in the beginning, when they tried 3-man, Anik kind of got lost, right? There were times where you could go like 2-3 minutes, you wouldn't even hear him, and he's a play-by-play guy.
208.
So it took a while for them to kind of get that rhythm. At the same time, like, I want to hear Jimmy Smith. Is it going to be at the expense of hearing Daniel Cormier or vice versa? Like, I want to hear all three of them. So hopefully they can develop a good chemistry, because that would be tough if it was just a different 3 guys every single time. It would be rough. And how long? I mean, I know they've done it before, but like maybe a female in there?
Possibly, but here's why Jimmy Smith's good. Another reason to touch on what we were talking about earlier. He is not only good at his job as just the color commentator, but he's worked with Mike Goldberg types, Mike Goldberg himself. And remember, for a while there, before Goldberg and Sean Wheelock, between there was kind of a rotational door of partners, kind of like what the UFC is doing now. So that dynamic of their trying out new play-by-plays won't affect Jimmy. Furthermore, I think that the third man, though, I believe that John McCarthy honestly would be the best third man, ideally, and obviously he's in Bellator. I feel the third man, even though people have its criticisms and whatnot, I feel that Jimmy Smith will be good there too, because not only is he a good color commentator, but he used to fight not only the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, which is a point,
6-0, isn't he?
Something like that, yeah. But not only Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt like John McCarthy, to expand on those things, but he also used to fight too, which I think will help out in that kind of underlying dynamic. Like when a fighter sits down next to you, or somebody who used to do martial arts, there's a certain connection you have with that person. And I think, for example, let's say if Cruz is, I think Jimmy Smith will work really well with Cruz if Cruz is in that quote-unquote third-man role. And I think that a guy like Smith will be able to pitch to the fighters very well, because he got in there and did it himself, and he's going to kind of know what he can commentate on without taking any of the, not that there is any ego in that job where there should be, but without stepping on the other guy's territory, so to speak.
Right, because fighters do get touchy when someone who's never fought steps in. Even Rogan's taking a backlash. A guy who's he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gi black belt, no gi black belt, and a Taekwondo practitioner, black belt and practitioner. Like, he's got some sort of a title that he won when he competed back then, and all those, I mean, history in the sport, history in the UFC, and then from time to time a few fighters have had a problem with his commentary just because technically he hasn't stepped in there. Very few. I mean, I'm talking like it's a minimal, because he's done this for 20 years, so yeah. But
sensitive. This
guy having 6 fights, right, and I believe they're out of order, because I think he has enough experience, and out of line, I should say. He has enough experience. He's called this enough, and I believe he's tried to stay as impartial as possible. That you're right, they're being very sensitive.
But there's always going to be a loophole. If it's this guy doesn't even train. Oh yeah, I train. Oh yeah, but you've never fought. Well, I fought. Oh, but that was amateur.
UFC, right? Yeah.
Oh, but you never fought pro. I fought pro. Oh, but that wasn't on the big show. Like, I mean, there's always.
Were you on a main card? Were you on TV? Were you a co-main? Yeah. Smith has 6 fights, by the way. He went 5-1.
Nice.
So that's I think that's something that he'll, people will just always have respect for him, because of that. Like, just a slightly higher level of respect than anyone who's never jumped in there. But I mean, anyway,
have you ever heard a fighter say, I've never served in Congress, so I don't have an opinion on that. Like, I mean, you can fucking do that to anything, really.
Right.
Exactly. But it is funny, though, because, like, for example, just even doing tape study for this fight, there was a fight that's being called by Grisham and Brian Stan, who I think both guys do a great job. Obviously, they're pros at the top level. We're obviously dissecting the micro here. But they're criticizing fighters for smiling and being too friendly during the exchanges, and criticizing on that. Grisham goes, "I'll tell you, Stan, if you punch me, last thing I'd do is smile." And Stan kind of retorts, and I don't think he meant anything by it. He goes, "No, you'd be knocked out." And it was really weird for Stan to say, because Stan's very professional, doesn't really pontificate too much on that end, but he kind of put the commentator in his place.
Really?
In a way. Yeah, and it's a very subtle thing. Probably someone like me who just watches too much tape that only I would pick out, granted, but it's things that you kind of think about and don't really think about and you pick up on. So, for example, me, even if Dan, you spent, you're not a pro or anything, but you spent X amount of time, competing. You competed in this, that. You spent 20 years. You sure. But if anything, that makes me want to speak less about it. If anything, you'll notice I'll try to be much more generous, to where if I even do mention that, I'm only mentioning it so I can deflect and set up for the fighter to talk about and pontificate. They're real pro. to talk about. So it's something that even I myself try to keep in line with this format. So yeah, like we're talking about now, that has to be something that is a dynamic at play when we're hearing these commentating teams, you know?
Yeah. Most of the time, it really doesn't have to do mostly with technical stuff. I mean, I know Tony – was it Tony Ferguson had an issue with a question?
He misheard a question, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
but most of the time, really, it's our reaction to that just wasn't your best performance.
Yeah.
And the reason we know that is because we've seen that fighter fight 20 times, and we've seen the wins and even the great performances in the losses. And in this case, it may have just been someone that just, it wasn't their night.
Right.
We're not allowed to say that just because we've never stepped in there.
100%.
No,
You're right,
But I
100%.
realize the MMA fighters are individual.
Yeah.
It's them on their own. It's not like you can hide behind a team. There's times where the defense played bad, but we scored 50 points. You know what I mean?
Perfectly put. Yes, it's not a prerequisite. It's just a bonus. That's all it is. It's not a prerequisite, though. 100%. I agree.
Let's talk to Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco?
From Waco, ¿qué pasa, más putos?
Whoa, jeez. Marco coming strong.
What's up, man?
I just watched this comedian that used to say that all the time, but I forgot his name, man. That's what I just said. I just popped in my brain. I was surprised that Jimmy Smith went to the UFC. Everybody predicted that.
No, not at all.
I'm going to put my Marco Damus hat in here, and I'm going to predict by 2019, by January 2019, Jimmy Smith is going to replace Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan is retiring this year. He's not going to renew his contract, and that's why they're bringing Jimmy Smith to the fall. So we do this transition year. People start getting accustomed to seeing Jimmy Smith on TV, and then Rogan can, step out smoothly. They're not going to do Rogan like a big Goldie. I tell you that much. It's going to be a whole process of, farewell for Rogan and whatever. Probably even put him on the UFC Hall of Fame right before he leaves.
Any other predictions? Alabama will be in the national championship. The Patriots win the Super Bowl.
The Patriots are not going to win the Super Bowl. I predict the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl, but that's just me.
All right, I'll give you props if that happens.
Yeah. Duho Choi and Jeremy Stevens. I cannot wait for this fight tomorrow.
Sunday.
Choi. That's right, Sunday. Tomorrow's Invicta. My bad. Duho Choi, man, I sucks that next year he has to go to the freaking military. I don't know why these Koreans are not waiting until right after high school, because they can do it after high school to do their freaking military service. They do their college and all this stuff, and then they freaking do shit. But entertain for this fight. I seen Duho Choi is knocking out Steven on the 4th round. Peace out.
Okay, we'll see it.
I've never understood that.
Don't the Israelis also, every man and woman has to do 2 years at least?
But
or a year?
Look, man, I mean, even in a country as big as ours, you always want role models for people. And a guy like, take the Korean Zombie, right? Like, he was hot at that time. He was a good role model. He could still serve in the military. Just let him do it later. Why'd they take away time from his career, a career that you flourish when you're younger? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Don't you think the population would stomach it and go, hey, you know what? He's still going to do it, right? Yeah, he's still going to do it, just later. Okay.
I will say this.
Give us our hero.
The military is a good kick in the butt for anybody. So in a way, I've kind of admired those countries for having that stance. And if somebody would say, well, what if they did in the USA, that would have happened to me, someone who didn't elect to go in. But looking back, I could have used a couple years in the military for sure. Let's go to Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? How you doing?
What's going on, fellas?
Not much.
What
And
up?
You? Nothing much, man. Hey, I think Jimmy Smith, man, I think he's going to do an excellent job, man. The guy is on point, with his commentary. And, when he controls the mic when he gets it. And I don't think many people, are questioning if this guy know what he's talking about or not. Once you hear him and listen to him, you can be like, okay, this dude's sharp. So I think that was a hell of a pickup by him. And you listen to a lot of the athletes, like, do you guys ever watch ESPN and you see some of the former football players on there trying to basically articulate what they want to say, and some of them really can't get the shit out?
Yep.
It's really kind of funny. I mean, they know the game. Like my boy Randy Moss. I love Randy to death, but sometimes Randy can't get out what he's trying to say. And somebody else have to help him, usher him along a little bit. But, guys know how to talk the game just like some fighters know the fight game. But I guess their presentation and the way they articulate it may not come off the best. But,
you know who I think
I
would have been interesting just to see if he was in the running was Pat Miletich. But Pat hasn't had the best relationship with the UFC, but as a former fighter who became a champion, as a former coach who coached world champions, and then all these years as a broadcaster, so plenty of experience, it would have been interesting to see just to see if he was considered. And then to steal out of the football thing, I think I said it before, but Tony Romo is an amazing analyst, man. I think he's better than Troy Aikman, and everybody thinks Troy Aikman's the best, but the stuff he puts out there before every play is really, really top-notch and just seems like really, really current, from someone that really did play up until a few years ago. Showtime, we got about 45 seconds. Anything else?
Oh, man, just ready for the fights this weekend and ready for Invicta, man. Just Invicta got the big Saturday night tonight. I like that. Let's go, ladies.
All right, my man. Thank you very much for the call. Safe travels out there. You got LFA happening tonight. You got Invicta happening tomorrow night. And then you got the UFC on Sunday night. So that's a really, really nice start to 2018 for the sport of mixed martial arts, along with the divisional playoffs this year. All right, folks, it's the end of the hour. We got one more to go. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Stay close, and we'll be right back. go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Can you feel it? All right, I like that one.
Yeah, that one's a cool one. That's what they play
So
at
what
the
do I
end
tell
of the
Siri?
Michael Jackson one.
What do I tell Siri? Play Michael Jackson's greatest hits, Jackson 5's
No.
greatest hits. When did this one? Where can I hear this one?
Well, it doesn't. The problem with Siri. Oh wait, Siri. Okay, I'm thinking of Alexa. Where can you hear it? What do you mean? It's probably one of the greatest hits. I think it's called like anthology or something like that, or something.
All right, but it's Michael Jackson, not in conjunction with
No,
or
no.
a soundtrack or nothing. Yeah, that was pretty cool. All right, from the Facebook chat, shout out to Tony Clark. Kate Price was
Tony.
stoked that we had Shannon Knapp on the line. Jason Ford felt Kevin Lee was being white knighted. Am I a Kevin Lee white knight?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we all are.
Yeah, I'll probably say guilty. for me.
Don D says he's amped up. We have a small local show kicking off over by him.
Don D.
Don D is his name. Yeah. A few amateur fighters he follows entered the first card. Castro Fight League in Kissimmee, Florida. Do you remember Kissimmee, Florida, guys?
No.
Don't quote me, but actually, I don't know. I know we've been in Kissimmee, though.
Quote him.
It may be. Oh, fuck it. Quote me. It may be where the Miccosukee Indian Reservation is in that area.
All right, let's
Pull up
Google you.
Kissimmee, Florida, and then just hit maps. Either that or it's over by.
Hey, spot.
It's over where we did the Gator boat ride by Melbourne and Orlando. I think that's it, actually it. K-I-M.
K-I-M.
Well, I'll tell you right now. It's no, Kissimmee. So Kissimmee. I'd like to get. I'd like to buy a vowel.
I'd like to buy a vowel, please.
Where is it? Didn't we do the airboat ride?
Motorboat ride?
No.
Sorry.
Dang, he did that a little while ago.
Where is it?
Yeah, he did. Wow.
That's a dumb map, Goes. Why'd you pick that map? Pick a real technical.
All right, you pick one.
It's like he picked where they do the voting for the
I only have
presidential
like
election.
4 options. What do you want from me? Ooh, this
Alright,
one's
watch.
like.
Kissimmee, Florida.
Would you expect the map to say yes, no? I mean,
So you hit
we
maps.
still have a lot of things to cross here.
Look at this. Look at this map.
Oh, okay, here we go. It's over here.
Where the hell is it?
I don't know that we went that far. I thought the farthest we went was Orlando.
Oh, yeah, it was near Orlando. Isn't that where we went on the airboat ride?
No. I mean, I don't remember.
Do you remember my hat flying off? And I think the conductor of the
Yeah, he
airboat
caught it.
'Cause
Yeah.
I thought for sure I'm not reaching in the waters.
That's
don't
still
wanna
not
be
the coolest one I've ever
a
seen
gator
in my
meal.
life.
Yeah?
When I was a kid, our dad took me out. He bought me a kite, and we were flying it. And you know Thornton Park, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you remember? Do you remember where the trail was? Like where you're going by the little parking lot, and then the trail starts, right? The track or whatever.
Yeah.
So we were there. The kite flew out of my hand, and some dude was riding a bike through the middle like that, and just happened to kind of go like this and see it, and just went and just grabbed it and brought it to me. It was like Mean Joe Green.
Thanks, Mean Joe.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Shout out to Erica Mitzelplick. She says, "Good morning, Danny." That's it. The hell with the rest of us. Kim Shang says, "Hi, Eric." Oh, these guys are just chatting amongst themselves. All right, Eric Dombrowski. Shout out to him. And that's about it.
Ford
See
tagged me
here.
something
Looks
in there.
like
I
everyone
couldn't
else
see
is
it.
just repeats. Josh O'Brien. He's bagging on someone. He says, "Passed around like your mum."
Oh, they're throwing
Jesus.
bombs in there.
Yeah. Samuel Medina. He's the MMA junkie chef in the house.
Yeah, Sam Medina.
Sam's a nice guy, but I'm about to throw him under the bus. You guys want to hear the story?
Uh-oh. Dennis Hopper
Oh,
from
I
Speed's
know
back.
this
Let's
is
do it,
You
gonna
guys
Gigi.
wanna hear
Let's see it. Let's hear it.
Yeah. This is nothing against Sam.
Okay.
I'll get over it, right?
Okay.
But I asked Sam one time. I go, "Hey, we're gonna have Extreme Couture against the Junkies.
Oh, this? I thought you were gonna do something else.
Oh, Jesus.
What's the other thing? There's two things I could. Nah, you know what? He's a nice guy.
No, come on. He'll appreciate it.
He will.
Yeah. So what happened? Extreme Couture? What?
Okay. So when we had the 2017 Junkie Gathering, I said, "Hey Sam, we're already gonna be at a park. We're gonna play football, and it's hot. So everybody's going to be dehydrated and hungry. You're a chef. If we buy the stuff, could you do a barbecue? He goes, I can do it. And I go, well, how much do you think it would cost to feed everybody, you know, hot dogs, burgers, and whatever else? He goes, about 200. I think he said 1 to 200. And I go, all right. Now, here's what I don't remember. That's why I'm struggling with the story. But I figured to make it easy, we were going to give him, because he was going to do some carne asada, right?
Yeah, it was good.
Right. Oh, it was delicious. And so I said, listen, so the people that want burgers and fries, there'll be chips there, there'll be Cokes, burgers, fries, or sorry, hot dogs, if you want that. But we're also going to have kind of like Mexican food. So I told Juliet, see how much Chipotle will cost to just bring a bunch of rice and a bunch of beans in case somebody wanted to make themselves that type of a plate. So Juliet's going to get zapped as well, get that stun gun ready. She calls Chipotle, and they told her, your option is this will feed 50, and they went by weights. 2 pounds of this and who knows what. So she told me it'll be about $60. And I go, okay. And Sam told me between 100 and 200. And I go, okay. That whole thing was $500 because when Juliet got to
$39 plus free.
when Juliet got to Chipotle, they charged her $200. And she goes, what? And she goes, yeah. And so either she misunderstood or they tricked her ass because Juliet said, give me this, give me that, or who knows what. And she said, I was frozen. We had 100 people waiting for us because there was about, what, 50 junkies and maybe 30 on the other side?
Yeah.
So she goes, and she was right. She made the right call. She's not going to stand there and argue. And we said this, and I want to speak to your manager. I think she tried something, but they said, look, this is what it is, you know. And we knew we needed to get that food. So she got the food, and she took it back. And then when I was with Sam, I go, all right, let's get ketchup and mustard and salsa and this and that. And Sam's, I go, how many do we need of this? How many do we need of that? And I told him the last thing I want to do is not have enough. So maybe I should give him a buffer of an extra $100, but this should not have cost more than $300. And I walk up. This was, I think, was it Albertsons? No, Albertsons wasn't open. Where did him and I go? Yeah,
Smith's?
Albertsons was open, right?
Which one?
Right across the street from the park.
I don't think it was open yet.
I could have sworn we
pretty
went there.
sure it wasn't open yet.
Pretty sure we went there. Yeah, it had
Right.
just opened. And we go there, and we're walking down the aisles. And then when they rang it up, dude, it was, I think, $300. Or it could be that it was $500 and Chipotle was $200. Dude, it was an expensive barbecue. So not only did we lose, not only did I not get a chance to play, that's why I was yelling at motherfuckers that night. That's why I was a little bit moody. Like, get in there and play D. Jump up and bat the ball. I turned into, like, you know, Vince Lombardi.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got over to the barbecue and the Extreme Couture, a few of them go, we're out of here. Like, I think one or two of them ate. I was like, eat, motherfuckers. I wanted to tell them, you know, because there's plenty of food. And we have a world-class chef here. The effort was put into this. You know what I mean? And, oh, no, we're good. We're just going to, you know, I was like, God damn it. Why didn't I just order a bunch of them cheap fucking Papa John's pizzas?
Oh,
I just
man.
could have said, give me 60 of them, and it probably would have been less. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like walk in like the
Slick Rick's outside or what?
yeah, really. Like what do you call it? Like the military base when we walked in with all those pizzas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it just would have been easier to do that. And then as I'm coaching, not only am I arguing, it's a first down, give us the yards. I'm getting texts. Hey, Chipotle saying this. Sam saying, hey, I need this ingredient. You know, my cousin Karen who went and got some of the stuff Sam needed. She's saying they ran out of this. That was actually a nightmare day. Now that, and picture fat 250-pound George sweating, going through his shirt, soaked. You know what I mean?
Sprinklers. So you had to avoid your phone.
Yeah, dude, it was a nightmare.
Oh, no wonder why you're.
By the time we got over there, I was just like, put it in the past, just whatever. It's whatever, Nick Diaz. And I'm sitting there eating, and I was just hoping everybody could eat as much. We had a lot, dude. You know, only recently did we finally go through the last cup. Because I bought a bunch of cups, a bunch of spoons, a bunch of forks, a bunch of plates. And only the other day did Juliet tell me, because she keeps going in that other closet.
That's where that came from?
Yeah.
Yeah, one day I bought some cups, and she's like, dude, we have a whole stash. And I went in there, and I was like, what is going on?
So Sam is a great chef. He did a great thing. One year he went and brought 50 burgers from
that was
McDonald's
clutch.
and took it to the hotel room. And even though they're those little cheeseburgers, it hit everybody perfect right at midnight because people were starting to get sloppy, you know, so they needed something. And he walked in with that. He's a great chef. He's my friend. He did the thing he did for us in Chicago where he named foods after us. But do not take that guy to Price is Right because when they go, this rice-a-roni, you know, and everybody's bidding 14 or 18, Sam will probably say 400. You know, and he'll just never make it up to the stage.
Could it have been a miscommunication? Like, could you have really told them, hey, you're catering the Super Bowl or the national championship?
I don't know. I think, I don't know. I just remember him going about 100 to 200.
I thought you were going to blast them for
and
something
I think
else.
the bill was either 500 or 300. I think it was 300. And
I know that you told me.
And the other one was 200. I think combined, I know for sure I was on the hook for 500. And yeah, and there was a lot of food left over, and there was a lot of utensils left over. So
Sam wasn't on the side making himself a filet mignon or anything? Or?
No.
You sure? You need to double check?
No, dude. No. No. So the only thing I think Sam was just off on was just kind of like the calculations, maybe.
Oh, okay.
But it could be that I told him, do not have enough. That's what I don't want. I don't want to. I didn't eat. You know, that sucks. That would make me feel terrible. So I definitely wanted more. It's just that we had a ton more, man. So that's just, like I said, I got hosed on that. I got hosed on the bowling one year. I just, for some reason, man, I get fucked up on these things. But
made me hungry for what it's worth.
Huh?
For carne asada?
Yeah, all of it. The whole barbecue
yeah.
lineup.
There is one other thing, but that one I think I'd have to talk to him. That's just more of a relocation thing.
This thing?
That thing? What's that thing?
The night of the party?
Oh, he never made it to. No,
Nah, that's what I thought you were going to talk about.
Oh, no, that was no big deal. That's funny.
But that's throwing somebody under the bus.
Yeah, it is. Throw him under the. You do it. How come I'm always doing it?
All right. For our party at the Bourbon Bar, which represented, what were we celebrating? Not 2,000 shows, right?
It was 2,500.
2,500, yeah. Our 25th 100 show. No, it was our 10-year anniversary, I think, is what we were celebrating.
10 years, 2,500 shows.
10 year.
Okay, and so
no, because 10 years in April, guys. So it's closer to the 2,500 show.
All right, well, we had this big party planned. People brought suits, and Sam Medina, same guy we've been talking about, was going to go. And he was all decked out in his suit and everything, and he laid down on his bed. And I can't get into the particulars of what happened, but something made him not wake up, and he actually woke up, I think, like the next morning at 8 a.m. in a suit with his shoes on, laying on the bed, and he missed the whole party.
Damn.
So the next day he had to hear from everyone how cool
That
it was.
party was
and
cool.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then Danny got hosed that night too. That was so funny. As bad as I felt, it was hilarious.
Danny Okers, what happened to him?
Because people were being introduced
Thanks for that.
into the Bourbon Bar, you know, through that stage. And on one of those, Danny, we go, all right, it's Danny's turn, you know. So he goes back, and he gets into this pod. And just as he did that, Kendra goes, let's all get a group photo, guys. So then we all went into that cigar room. So when Danny came out, because everybody was giving, like, speeches, you know. When Danny came out, there was, like, 10 people on the floor, and everybody else was in that one room. So as we're taking the picture, you can hear Danny going, I want to thank George and Goes for this moment. There's nobody out there.
Is there a video of that?
I don't know, because everybody was
The
in
video
that
would be
room,
funny
so-
if he had it on his forehead,
Dude,
right?
it
Like
was
one of
great.
those miners.
And the thing is,
looking out to 10 people.
the lights were so bright. I don't know if you remember, the lights were so bright that you really couldn't see well out there. So I'm Danny, did you even know that there weren't that many people in the beginning?
No. I had no idea. I knew I could see into the cigar room. I knew there were a bunch of people in the cigar room, but I didn't know how many people were in front of
I
me.
just remember him talking, and like I could see my Uncle Guido just staring at him. And he must have, like, if he was looking out there inside, he must be thinking, "What the fuck? Where's everybody at? Is this a joke?"
All right, switching back to MMA a little bit. I mean, not fights or nothing like that, but a fighter who's fighting this week. Did you hear she got robbed? Jessica Rose Clark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's not the
she
worst
writes.
of it, though.
She writes. Her Twitter handle is Miss Jessie Jess. In case anybody wants to, lift their spirits a little bit, or perhaps on white knighting. I don't know. Maybe Ford might want to send an LOL to what happened to her, but. She said, someone broke into my house, stole all my housemates' stuff, trashed the whole place, stole clothes, and shoes from me. What the fuck, man? And what Goes is saying is the worst of it is they kicked their cat. They kicked the cat, smashed the rib cage, and it pushed his intestines up into his chest cavity. He has to have surgery. Don't know what's going on. And then she updated later. The cat had to be put down. So now she does have a description. So she must have the video or something. She has one of those security things.
I don't know, but I mean, here's the thing about cats. If you enter a house, cats aren't like dogs. They don't run up to you, "Arr, what are you doing in my house?" They just kind of go, well, who's that? And they just sit around. So for somebody to kick somebody else's cat like that, it was probably just because that particular person wanted to be an asshole. And that's what sucks, man.
Yeah, that's super low. Obviously, we're all animal lovers, so I'm sure the listeners know our stance on that. But to add even kind of more color to that, a lot of these times when I'm studying these fighters, I'll go not just study their fight footage, I'll go study their interviews that they're doing to see what's going on in their life. And for Jessica Rose Clark, she was doing an interview with my man. Shout out to James Lynch, but she was saying that she was bugging her manager. I think her manager Danny Rubenstein was bugging him for a cat. They had this whole big thing, and Danny Rubenstein said, "No, you need to focus on fighting right now. You can't have a cat after this training camp. You know, maybe this fight, maybe we'll see about getting you a cat." So it was like it's something that like she wanted for a while. Like she's like, "Yeah, I don't do much out here in Vegas." You know, in the interview, she's like, "I literally just train. I go back to my house after training. I hang out. You know, I watch Netflix, and I want to get a cat." So to hear that she actually got the cat, but then to hear that, so that's just kind of, you know, crushing. And I'm somebody who appreciates simple things, and those simple things are the things that mean the most. You know, whether it's a cat or your place of dwelling and home, and to have those things invaded, and I can't imagine that's awful news.
Big time. She's the young lady that's going to be fighting Paige Van Zandt.
That's right.
This weekend. Both featured on the main card, obviously, for UFC Fight Night 124 on Sunday. Again, on Sunday, not Saturday. Saturday's Invicta. Friday's LFA. I'll be there tonight. Friday. And Sunday is the UFC Uriah Hall, Vitor Belfort's last fight. Vitor reiterating to everybody he's done. He wants to open fitness centers. But as we spoke about,
yeah,
it's probably his last fight in the UFC. Maybe not necessarily his last fight ever, just because there are organizations out there that have a lot of money that I think are willing to say, let's write a check, get you out, fight. We don't care about the result. We just care about the gate, or we just care about...
Who's the leading candidate?
Someone in Japan or someone in Russia.
Ryzen, I think.
That's kind of what's happening with Mirko, right?
Yeah.
Hasn't Mirko retired like 2-3 times?
It's true, but...
He just keeps going back, and he keeps winning, and come back with a boatload of money?
I guess my question is, if Belfort retires and he comes back, then that's not really a retirement. So would he have to fight out his contract if he?
I think that's it. I think
this is the last one for sure. Okay,
yeah, so
that's part of the reason why the first one he just said, "I have one more." And
yeah, that's right, because he was taking those fights before this kind of in succession, where you're like, where's he really got to go? And he sure is in a rush for a guy that we're not really sure what his trajectory is. Maybe that was it, right, to get to this point. So
pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The headline bout at UFC Fight Night 124 is Jeremy Stephens and the Korean Superboy, who we just talked about through a call about he'll have to serve the military soon for 2 years, same way the Korean Zombie did.
Bummer.
Yeah, but that guy has one of the hardest hitting fast and hard hitting right hands. You know, we talked a lot about Stephens' power, and I'm not so sure we gave him his due, his props.
Oh yeah. Choi has that spooky power.
Yeah, definitely. Let's take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. Also want to let you know on a few other things, like the MMA Roadshow with John Morgan. Show number 146 is dropped. They do theirs on Thursday night. It drops on Fridays. They also do a .5 from time to time following the fights. So keep an eye on those guys. They iTunes it like us, and you can also grab the show from the website just like you do ours. Him and Ken Hathaway, who has joined the staff picks along with Trent and Abby and Dan Tom. That's Kenny Hathaway, John's partner on the Roadshow. Also, shout out to the AMP radio show. They hit the 300 mark.
Wow.
Whoa!
Yeah, remember
wow,
that?
Nice.
When they just kind of had an idea. They hit the 300 mark as well. Amp Radio, another MMA podcast. Tony from San Francisco, along with my man up there in the Great White North, Proteus. Pam, I think, chimes in from time to time. Pam from Wilmington, North Carolina, who did some belly dancing for us, her and her friend Samantha. Two really, really cool chicks. And, you know, if you just scan through MMA Junkie, there's a lot of stories there regarding Kamaru Usman, Jeremy Stevens, and, you know, everybody participating in this weekend's card, and already stuff attributed to UFC 220, which happens next week. The first big show for the UFC, including a catch-up with Daniel Cormier. All right, folks, we'll be right back. Stay close.
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
SiriusXM Radio is giving our subscribers the chance to win an opportunity to go to Minneapolis, Minnesota for Super Bowl 52. One grand prize winner will receive a trip for two, including airfare, 3 nights hotel stay, and 2 tickets to Super Bowl 52 on February 4th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you're a football fan, this is the ultimate prize. No additional purchase is necessary. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com. Super Bowl before January 24th, 2018. The NFL entities, as defined in the official rules, have not offered or sponsored this sweepstakes in any way. All right. Kissimmee, Florida is below Orlando, and that is where Goes and I went on an airboat ride once with our parents.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando.
Florida.
We went to Melbourne, Cocoa Beach. That's where Cape Canaveral is.
Okay, that sounds familiar.
And then we dipped down. We went to Vero Beach, where the Dodgers used to do spring training.
That was cool.
We went through West Palm Beach. I remember that. Fort Lauderdale, Miami. And then we made it all the way to Key Largo and maybe 1 or 2 other keys. We also went inland a little bit into the Everglades to the Miccosukee Native American Reservation, I guess it's called. We saw a Native American wrestle an alligator. His name was Wayne. It was an 8-foot alligator. In fact, that Miccosukee reservation has also had boxing and I believe MMA. I've seen it like on ESPN. Minor shows, but not the boxing, but the mixed martial arts. And that was like 1991. Holy cow. We went to South Beach. I remember that. It was really, really cool.
Disney World.
Remember the Seaquarium?
Epcot. Seaquarium? That I don't remember.
That was in
oh,
Miami.
yeah. Oh, no, wait. See, we
That's
stayed
where
a little
I
bit
found more
longer.
about the mammals.
The manatees?
Manatees, yeah.
Okay, then we went to Tampa.
Right. Busch Gardens.
We did Busch Gardens, yeah.
Yeah, you were able to stay some more time.
Well,
Shout
that's a
outs
long time.
on the YouTube chat. John Rico.
Hey.
Knuckle Up 101. Don Piccolo.
I'm waiting for
Jams TV. TH3 _ what? Shannon Knapp is. Oh, man.
Come
Watch
on.
My 666 is in there.
All right, I'll take
Come on,
that.
give me my fix.
Yeah.
Come on.
And Synchronic 7.
Come on.
West Side says Junky Nation. Key Breeze is in there. I want to change the name so insensitive to real junkies. Ha ha ha. Jay Zen sent me a shout out. Back to you, Jay Zen. Juan Ramirez is in there. Big Juan. Destination Sneakers is in there as well. He says McGregor versus a white belt on the ground. And lastly, the Human Moron.
Yes.
Happy Friday,
There he
YouTube
is.
chat populace. You guys like the Human Moron?
The Human Moron's the best.
Do you guys know who the Human Moron is?
No.
Neither do I.
Great name, though.
It's a great catches me off guard every time you say it.
Would you like the Human Moron to go to the next Junkie Gathering?
Yeah, I want him to call in as a show.
Dude, it'll
As
make me
the
feel
Human
better.
Moron.
Human Moron.
It
That's
just
funny.
makes no sense. It's so funny. Like, if I were outside in the sports book and I go, you moron, nobody would ever go, talking to a human? Like, we all get that. I don't know. It's just so funny.
And it's good to have in your crew, right? Because you're never, well, at least I'm not human moron. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, right? You can always say that.
Next week on the show, we're going to talk to Chris Cyborg, Stephen Thompson. TJ DeSantis is going to co-host the show with us, formerly of Sherdog, now all over the UFC Fight Pass, but of course most of you probably know him as the play-by-play announcer for Invicta FC. And we have 2 tentatives. I'll throw them out there just because I think they're very likely. Steve Cofield from ESPN Radio and Joey Varner from NBC Sports, but we've yet to lock those in. The other fighters are pretty locked in, as locked in as you can get them. So it should be a fun week. We're just getting out of 2017, starting off 2018 here with some shows. If you're going to the show in Costa Mesa, California, at the OC Fairgrounds, I'll be there for LFA. I'll be there with my buddy Big Ralph. Also, do you remember Carl Simon?
Of course.
Okay, so you don't. So Carl Simon, he used to listen to the show. I'm not sure he's always listening. He may from time to time. He chimes in a lot on my Facebook. But Carl was, do you remember one time we set up a table in Irvine and he was hustling and getting people to come over and hang out? That guy. Yeah, and he hung out.
Battle in the Ballroom, right?
Mm-hmm. Battle in the Ballroom. But I remember thinking, God, like this guy had a personality. He was funny. And so I'm going to get to see him tonight. I haven't seen him in a while, but we've actually just kept in touch through Facebook. But he's a character. Like, I think he'd be cool at a junkie gathering. Now, the one thing is, I'd probably tell Carl, be yourself, but every once in a while, dial it down. Because, he's like one of those that's always just chiming in and energetic. And sometimes he's like, let's have the 18th shot. It's like, bro, 3 or 4 is good. We're going to be fucking smashed. You know what I mean? He can just go. I mean, he's got energy, but he's really, really cool guy. So I'm going to see him tonight. I did it last time, so I had my fix. I'm not sure about Inca Mamas and the Tustin Brewery and all that. A few other people threw out some suggestions. You want to hear what they are?
Yeah.
Fire
How
away.
about that Italian place right by the Black Marlin? Is that what it's called? The Black Dolphin?
Oh, yeah.
That's a good spot. I'd like to do that. That's part of my triangle. The fish taco place I always do when I go out there. That has the world's dumbest name. And then...
it's just called Baja Fish Tacos or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Human
All
pizza.
Right. Let's see here. This is what I was told. Check out the Crack Shack in Costa Mesa off 17th Street. If you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. Craig Madden told me that. Another guy says, try Zanku Chicken in Anaheim. You ever heard of Zanku Chicken?
I have. I've never checked it out.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I thought you said poo chicken. I was like,
Zanku Chicken.
I've heard of that too. I've heard good things, by the way.
You've heard of Zanku Chicken?
Yeah, I have.
Really?
I have. I don't know where from, but I've heard it like on multiple podcasts.
It gets talked about like if you go on Yelp or something.
In all of Orange County, there must be like 500 chicken places, and this one's getting talked about.
You've never been?
Oh, I haven't been.
What's the matter? Chicken?
Maybe. All right, let's talk to Ben in New Zealand. What's up, Ben? How you been?
I've been sweet, Gigi. This is not necessarily a topical sort of question or anything. It's more of a general question, and it's to do with something that comes up on the show once in a while, which is the question of how things might have changed now that WMEIMG has taken over in terms of how much they lean towards, say, a money fight rather than, what's a fight that's suggested by the rankings, and how much has that really changed? Because if we think back to, for example, remember in the light heavyweight division when Vitor Belfort, who hadn't fought at light heavyweight for half a decade, was given a title shot, and then straight after him, Chael Sonnen, who was off a loss, he hadn't fought in the light heavyweight division for like 8 years or something. They'd never beaten anyone significant in light heavyweight. And they put him on the show with John Jones, and then they gave him a title shot. And then there was things like Nick Diaz coming off a loss, getting a title shot. There was what's his name, Frankie, gets a title shot at 145, coming off 2 losses. So haven't these things always happened? And how much has it changed, if at all, since WMEIMG has come in?
I don't know that it's really been that big. I mean, I think what really blew everything out of proportion was Conor going in boxing, really, is I think what made everybody say, I don't think that would have happened under Zuffa. But I think some of the other ones...
Oh, I think it would have happened under Zuffa still.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they recognize that it was a business transaction. One thing Dana White clarified, and he didn't need to, because I think we should all know this, but it's just good to hear it every once in a while. Sorry, I'm giving you my back. I'm resting my foot here.
Please, you're good.
Is, hey, don't forget, man, we're in this. And then he went like this. He goes, and aren't you all in this too? And I would imagine most people, yeah, sure. I mean, maybe not like, fuck yeah, raising my hand as high as I can. But it was at least a, yeah, I'm feeling you. Aren't we all in this to make some money one way or another? You know what I mean? And that fight was a business transaction for the company. And I think it would have happened under Zuffa too, and they recognized it. The reason Dana White's there is because he has a very strong personality, and he was able to find the people to back the sport, and make it a sport, not just the UFC, but a sport. But along the way, I don't think he started off as the Dana we know him now. Watch some of the early interviews, some of the early press conferences. He's a pretty nice guy with a tie, in a suit that just was maybe like he grabbed it from an uncle. Can I borrow a suit? He just didn't look right. You know what I mean? Very respectful, and now he's obviously tougher and brazen and outlandish and a maverick and whatever. And he needs to be, because he's at the forefront. He's the one that can kind of cover up when you're doing stuff as a company that everyone's not going to agree with. Stick Dana there. He'll convince them because he's got a way with words. He's got that experience. You know what I mean?
He's your Winston Wolf.
Pretty much. He'll fix it.
Yeah.
And but trust me, I think at some point they would like to get to what we see. Hey, the best 8 teams qualified. It's a playoff. This is the champ. But even the NFL sitting there going, fuck, why can't it be the Patriots versus the Cowboys or the Niners versus the Steelers? They want certain franchises that pop in there, you know what I mean, when they can. Right now, they are not hoping that it's Jacksonville versus who else is left?
Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah. I guess Minnesota might be the smallest market left. I don't think they're hoping for that, you know what I mean? So that's just what's happening kind of in our sport. And Ben's right. It's happened throughout the course of mixed martial arts.
You call him the Wolf?
That's all you had to say. Can't say anymore.
Yeah, you can't say the rest of it.
Anything else, Ben? Are you ready to go back to sleep?
No, that's it. I'll get off and let you guys have a weekend. But I think something I haven't said yet is I really love what Dan brings to the show. That especially because a lot of the time when he argues with you guys, it's stuff that I agree with. So I'm glad someone's in there saying it.
Oh, thank you, Ben. I appreciate that, man. Thanks, bud.
See you, buddy.
This is what I picture Ben looking like.
What's that?
What if he's the human moron? Wouldn't that be like a 1-2 punch?
That'd
We've
be
always
a
wanted to
crazy
have
reveal.
Ben there, and then to top it off, he's the human moron.
Well, I'd feel less.
Who's that guy?
I don't know.
Oh.
I typed in human males
Yeah.
just to get see like what
Type
I thought
in
he
human
would look.
moron and see what happens.
All right.
Ben, by the way, it was a handsome picture for what it's worth that Goes pulled up. So he thinks highly of you. Well,
Kind of almost looks like a better looking Charlie Day.
Trump
yeah,
as well.
yeah, that's a good one.
Look at this guy. Yeah, this is exactly what I think a human moron would look like.
Oh, who came up under human moron?
The first person that we would know.
Trump's in the
Trump.
top 8.
Oh,
For
jeez.
some
But,
reason,
no,
Janine
this-
Garofalo shows up.
Well, I guess, yeah, human moron can really be male or female. I was thinking it was going to be a male for sure. Don Rickles?
Oh, it just says, "What are you, a moron?"
Oh, okay. Yeah. Speaking of Trump, I know we're not going to get political, but oh boy, he opened his mouth big time this morning.
Again?
Oh,
All I know is the other night.
if Trump could never outdo himself, today was one of those days.
Guys, all I know is that I was studying Emil Meek the other night, and I posted some tweet about I'm supposed to be fact checking Emil Meek, but I ended up on some Norwegian meatball recipes, and I made this whole tweet about Norwegian meatballs, and the next day there was all this Norwegian talk, and it's.
Oh, yeah?
I was like, I picked the wrong time to talk about my love for more Norwegian meatballs.
Yesterday I tweeted out, "Who is your celebrity arch nemesis?"
Okay.
And somebody said it was, remember Raven from the WWE?
Oh
At
yeah,
the time?
yeah, Raven.
He was actually a good performer.
He says,
I'm thinking of the right guy.
He says, at the time, he threw popcorn at me when I was around 9 years old. We asked for an autograph, and he was like, "Sure, here you go," and threw it at us, and then said, "Get out of here." We laughed at him like a motherfucker. And so Raven actually retweeted that and said, "Haha, rock." He said, "Haha, I rock."
That's great. Oh, that's great. Dude, I haven't heard that name in a while. Wasn't he in WCW as well?
Yeah.
So he was in that game I used
Remember
to
he was
have.
Johnny Polo at one point?
That's right. I used to have this game WCW versus NWO Revenge, and I think he was in that.
Was that the Super NES or one of
It was
those?
Nintendo
I
64, and I just remember I liked the game because they had all the
With the
wrestlers'
bat?
taunts in there. Like Roddy had Roddy Piper, and you did his taunt, which was funny. He just
I
like
miss
hopped on
Piper.
one leg, and I know.
You know what, Gus? I found Roddy Piper's number when I was going through all that
I've
old stuff.
I've never deleted, like, I still have Ryan Bennett's number.
Really?
I never delete him. I just can't.
Yeah, I found the page, and it had Roddy's number.
Man.
And I thought about, I have a real, kind of a cool story to share. But I would want to clear it through his son. And if his son thought it was cool, I mean, we're probably about 3 years removed from him passing away, right?
Has it been?
I know a lot of people would say, "Fuck, I tell the story," but I like to be a little more respectful.
Statute of limitations
And
is
trust
10
me,
years.
I'm one of those. I'm actually the guy that gets hammered in the story.
Oh, okay.
But in the end, it was all for. It all ended nicely, good ending, you know. But for a while there, it was one of those days where you woke up and you go, "Whoa." But his kid had a couple amateur fights, and I don't think he kept going with it. I think the daughter's an actress in Hollywood, but I think the connection was through the son, and I think he'd be the one you could approach and go, "Hey, look, this happened. You mind if I tell this story one day?" Because in the end, it was just it was pretty cool, I think, you know. But I still remember where I was, where I had to take a certain phone call, and I was dreading. It was at Sammy the Squids. I had to exit, you know.
What were we doing there?
Watching like a football game or an MMA
fights
event
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember driving there and you being like, "Oh man, I might have to take this phone call."
You know that guy from the UG, Jonathan Schrager?
Yeah.
That does interviews?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, he might be my favorite follow on Twitter, at Jonathan Schrager, JONATHANSHRAGER. So I have gone in the UG for many years, since 2001, even before that, actually, when it was submission fighting. So that's 6 years before. No, it was like 2 years before I really started going into weekly. I think in weekly I started around 2002-ish, maybe. 5 years before we created Tag Radio. 6 years before we became MMA Junkie Radio. That's why I have a soft spot for the UG.
Right.
I'm a UGer in a way. So I went on the UG once, and this guy was doing interviews. When I heard his first interview, I go, "Who's this bozo?" Like, I honestly just thought, what the fuck? Because he's got this cadence that's, like, really slow. And I think it was around this time where I was just really into, like, what Morrow does and those over-the-top people, you know what I mean? Because if you think about it, Ariel does a very, like, his video interviews are very slow and methodical, and he gets the information that you want, and you know, everybody else that kind of does that, you know, Steve Cofield used to do it for a while, our good friend Gary Alexander. Everybody always had their own style, you know. Jonathan's was different. Jonathan would just start off slow. Sometimes he'd have to collect his thought for half a second. And so you almost thought like, dude, this isn't for you, right? But then watch about your second or third. He's always well prepared, and he gets good information out, and he makes the guests feel like, "Hey, man, I trust you. Let's have a good conversation and a great interview."
Right.
And next thing you know, they're very informative and entertaining. It's just that his cadence is just one of the slower ones out there. But his vocabulary is great as well. And so after that, I became a huge fan. It took me about 2 or 3 interviews to finally go, "Oh, that's that guy again," you know. And next thing you know. So Shamak Sandu, we're sitting around here one day, and he asked me, "If you weren't doing Junkie, what would you like to do?" And I told him, well, at this point, something regarding sports. Because it took me a while to figure out what I want to do in life. And I think most of the time I was trying to do what I thought would make others happy, especially my mom, rather than
Clean
me.
the room?
Yeah, rather than just me. Now, others figured this out in their teens, 20s, whatever. I took a long time to figure it out. But I know that it has to do with sports. And maybe at this point it would have to do with some sort of a show or who knows what. And he goes, "Well, who are your squads?" And I go, "Well, like I could tell you a lot about the Lakers, USC football, 49ers, Manchester United." I go, "Dude, I wake up at 4 a.m. to watch these games, you know. I love it." I go, now, the interesting thing about all of those is, like, let's just say some god out there just said, "You got it. You got the job." The cool thing about the Lakers and Trojans is it bring me back to L.A. The cool thing about the Niners is I've always wanted to live in another city, but yet I wouldn't be so far from my brother and my parents. You know, so I guess I'd live in San Jose or Santa Clara or Frisco or whoever, somewhere up there. You know what I mean? Santa Clara, yeah. And the other thing is, I've always thought it'd be pretty cool to live in the UK too if I was gonna live outside, just because. Okay, let's start with English, and I actually have some buddies there, like in the Edinburgh, Scotland area, and at the time Shamak Carr, who's now moving to Toronto, but people involved in MMA. And he goes, "Oh, dude, you know who you got to talk to is Jonathan Schrager." I go, "Oh, the guy from the UG." He goes, "Yeah." And I go, well, I don't know if I'll ever really talk to him, but let me make sure I follow him, which I think I was, and if I wasn't, I began it that day. This guy is the ultimate when it comes to Manchester United. Now, I've still yet to dig in to see what exactly he does, but he has a role. He's done a lot of interviews. He knows a lot about the team. He knows a lot about the inside, the history. He shuts down haters. Like the next day, Howie D and Buffalo Blue were popping off. I think I'm just going to bring in Jonathan Schrager into the thread and then just kick my legs back, put my feet up, and just go have at it, you know? I mean, this guy really, really knows a lot. So, Goes, if you want to just follow a hardcore MMA and Manchester United fan, it's that guy. And if anyone's never seen his interviews, go check him out. You can find him out in the underground. And if he doesn't for any other publications, I'm sure just by following Twitter, it's really, really interesting. Now, that said, I log on right now, and I think I may have called a mate in agreeing with him earlier, and you know what he tells me? Fair point, amigo. So I liked how he brought the Hispanic out of me. He goes, fair point,
You
amigo.
deserve it. I like that.
I do, yeah, I do. I like it. I really do. I don't trip on stuff like that. But we were talking about Alexis Sanchez. Alexis Sanchez for many years was rumored to possibly be going to Man City, and there was a story out there where maybe Man U might pull a heist. Alexis Sanchez, I like. He's had a few injuries, but I liked him more when he was at 26, 27, and they were kicking ass with Chile, you know. And like I told him, I said, you know, the sport has gotten younger, and those are 29-year-old legs. And remember, when he's supposed to be resting in the summer competitions, like a lot of athletes do, Chile was going far, man. I think they won 2 Copa Americas or 1 and made it to the finals. They competed well in I think they did Confederations, the World Cup, and it just seems like I saw Chile always towards the end, and those are just mileage, you know, where they're supposed to be resting. And I think that's why when you get into your later 20s, early 30s, sometimes these injuries are tougher to come back. Oh, I know who he is. Yeah,
Freddie Mercury.
I have that, but see that came in this morning.
City prepared to abandon. What did it say?
Chase.
Oh wow.
From here.
Now we need a guy like that, and if he's healthy, I'd love to have him. But yeah. And if you're just an MMA fan, follow that guy. Well, soccer guy too. Regardless of his alliance towards Man U, I think he keeps it real. He'll call it by the book. But his name is Jonathan Schrager. JONATHANSHRAGER.
Here's the type of tweet that I like. Paige Van Zant. I want a meatball sandwich. I will like.
Oh, meatballs.
And I liked it when it was at 2. By the time I hit it, it was at 41. So 41 other people said.
How many followers does she have?
Goes. You should look up Norwegian meatball recipes. I guarantee you'll be cooking this week.
Why not Swedish?
I don't know, but there's some mean gravy and some spices that go into them.
If anybody has,
meatballs.
I was gonna make some mole this weekend.
That sounds good too.
Damn. Well, you got to.
You don't
you got a shot to the body.
Well, I'm making it because you're not gonna be around.
Really? I thought I liked it.
I don't think you've ever liked I don't think you've ever liked it.
Oh, I was going to tell you, you just wait. I'm going to tweet pictures from where I am in the OC to get even.
We got to take this call, and we have another break, too.
All right, let's do the call right quick, and then we'll take the break. DJ Tony in San Francisco, what's up, buddy?
Coming at you, gentlemen. I don't want to take away from the discussion of Dan Tom's love of balls, but I do want to bring up this.
Yeah.
You know, you have so many people now that are calling, like, let's just say, like, the village idiot calling and saying, the village idiot that disagrees with everyone, that fights with everyone, saying, can't we just have peace in MMA? Can't everyone just, like, not talk smack? But these are the same people that were espousing on behalf of the money fights, right? But I do want to say this, guys. So we know about the Bellator tournament that's about to happen. Let's just say we had a junkie tournament, and all the junkies are relatively the same size. Who would be your 8 going into the junkie tournament? Who are your final 4? And who are your top 2? And who, of course, the winner. Thanks a lot, guys. You guys are the best. I like that.
Tony, don't be gone yet.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
mean in terms of, is this tournament a fighting tournament or a meatball eating tournament?
Fighting tournament. Fighting tournament.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the question.
Oh, I was hoping it was a
I
ball
already
tournament.
have this.
Thanks, Tony, for the call. Let's go on break, and when we come back, we'll see if we can put it together. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93.
Yeah, you. Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you.
I want to thank our guests for this week: Ray Borg, Michael Johnson, George Masvidal, Curtis Millender, Jordan Rinaldi, Ron Kruk, Aaron Pico, Henry Corrales, and Shannon Knapp. Next week, we'll be joined by Chris Cyborg, Stephen Thompson, Steve Cofield, TJ DeSantis, Joey Varner. All right, to answer Tony from San Francisco's question, I have my 8-man tournament. He said they all weigh the same, which it'll still be kind of hard to get away from. So I'll give you my 8, my 4, and the eventual champ. Goes, you came up with 8 as well?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and he said fighting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure we left someone out, and there's no shot at anyone we did.
It's only 8.
I think what you'll see from my 8 is that I have a theme to it, right? So it wasn't necessarily like, oh my God, the best 8 athletes or the toughest guys, because some of you guys train. You know, some people have trained, some people have done other sports. Who knows? I'm already thinking of names that I left out. Now the reason I'm extending this and talking, even though you hear the music in the background, is because we'll do a quick overtime just to answer Tony's question. Thanks, Tony, for submitting a question that'll take us about 5 minutes to answer, 90 seconds before the show's over, thereby us having to stay overtime, thereby me delaying my exit to California. But yeah, thanks again, Tony. No, I'm just kidding. We enjoy doing it. Goes will have his ready to go. So right now I want to let the SiriusXM audience know that you will have more combat sports and entertainment headed your way. And for the rest of you who are watching via the chats, stay with us. We'll be back for like 2-3 minutes of overtime. It's MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM, Rush 93. Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas with your neon flashing and your one-arm bandits crashing. All those hopes down the drain. Viva Las Vegas, turning day into nighttime, turning night into daytime if you see it once.
You guys are clear for overtime.
All right, Goes, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Don't matter, dog.
All right, I'll tell you mine. I think you probably put more thought into yours. Here's mine. I would have Showtime from Tennessee face Mike Lowry. And the reason is because I'm putting 2 black guys against each other. And these are 2 guys that do not like that one bit.
Oh, wow.
Are you sticking around? Oh, okay. All right. So it would be interesting to see how it divides the other black guys. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because these are guys that it doesn't matter who's fighting, they'll always take the brother. You know what I mean? So this puts them in a tough spot.
Ah, okay.
All right. Then I would put Aaron Fisher and Alton from El Paso.
Ooh.
And make them fight each other because they're kind of homies. But if I'm going to do it to the black guys, I'm going to do it to the white guys too.
Okay.
Aaron, I believe, is just an athlete. Like, I've seen him. He's a great basketball player, and I know he's a runner. Alton, I knew him as EP Kempo. No. EP Kempo is how I met him on MMA Weekly. He was just a handle. It stood for El Paso, and he did Kempo karate. So I know we got a martial arts background versus an athlete there. So now you have 2 white guys going at it. Then the other one is JD from the IE and Buffalo Blue. We got to break the trilogy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, right, so this is our chance to do it.
Nice.
And the last thing is 2 pain in the asses from H-Town, Marcel versus Joe. They're always supporting each other, but I gotta kill that H-Town bromance.
Okay.
Now, who wins these fights? I'm going to go with Showtime over Mike Lowry because Showtime played college football, and I don't know much about Mike Lowry. I mean, he's from the mean streets of Oakland. I get that you got to give him some love there, but I think some of that athleticism that Showtime still has will make him prevail. In the other semifinal, Aaron Fisher versus Alton. We're also 10 years removed from Alton's karate days. And I think he's just more into being a dad and doing his job well. I think Aaron still runs these fucking triathlons. So I think he's going to cardio him. So Aaron Fisher advances. I know we're supposed to eliminate the weight. But even though I'm picturing them at the same weight, JD and Buffalo Blue, I also seen Buffalo Blue's athleticism. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
And I think he advances. I've seen him do a broad jump. I've heard the stories about him sliding down the rail, and I've seen him play basketball. So I think there's some athleticism there that remains. Marcel trains Joe's from the main streets of Houston. I'm sure he's gotten down at some point in time. But Marcel, I think, just got a belt promotion. He super fights, so I think he gets a submission. So, do I continue, I guess? Does he want the finals and everything?
No, all
right, I'm into it this far, right? So now, I would put... I guess I'll just do it in the order that I did it. Showtime versus Aaron Fisher. I think Aaron Fisher's cardio machine, love, I think it runs out. I think Showtime might just have, some crack in his punches. And I think Marcel submits Blue.
Okay.
But if he doesn't, Blue could pick him up and slam him. Maybe actually, like a Rona, knock him
They'll
out.
go for a triangle.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I take that back. I think Marcel tries some sort of an arm bar. Well, they're the same weight. So did Marcel gain weight to fight Blue, or did Blue drop weight, or did they meet in the middle?
I don't think you can.
That was a tough one,
way.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is open weight, man.
Yeah, it's open
Blue
weight.
doesn't tap out because of his hard-headedness, but eventually he just fucking slams Marcel through the actual canvas, and so Blue advances. And in my finals, I have Buffalo Blue versus Showtime, both college athletes, both tough guys. I go with the internet sensation, though, to win it all.
Yeah?
Yeah, Buffalo Blue's my winner.
Wow. All right. I like your tournaments. Pretty good. I'm going to go with Jack Ballard versus Gabe Killian in the Battle of the Comedians.
Okay.
Loser has to get rid of their comedy career.
Okay.
Then I'm going to go with Micah versus Mike Knowles. Just two big dudes that can hit hard. That's going to kick off my pay-per-view. Then I'm going to go with Jesse from Seattle against Marcel from Houston. Both have had
Muay Thai against
Jiu-Jitsu.
Jiu-Jitsu.
And lastly, I'm going to go with Nick Abbott versus Nick Sanchez.
The
Loser
Battle of
can
the
no
Nicks?
longer be called Nick.
Okay.
And so in Nick Abbott versus Nick Sanchez, I'm going to go with Nick Sanchez advancing on that one. And then Marcel versus Jesse.
How does he beat him, though?
Nick Sanchez.
Not using cardio, because Abbott's a runner.
Yeah. No, he just gets him down to the ground and submits him.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go with Marcel versus Jesse. I'm going to go with Marcel on this one. I'll give Marcel also somehow.
If Jesse would train more rather than travel, then maybe we'd go with Jesse.
Yeah, he's like jet lag.
Right.
He's just not used to fighting in this time zone. And then I have Micah and Mike Knowles. Man, that's a tough fight. Really tough. You have a beard like that, it means you got a chin for me. There's an extra little bit of padding there. So I'm going to go with Mike Knowles on that one. And then the last fight, Gabe Killian and Jack Ballard. I think Jack throws Gabe over the cage, and he wins that fight. So then out of there, you have Jack Ballard versus Mike Knowles. Mike Knowles comes in and knocks Jack Ballard out, turns him into Joke Ballard. And then on the other side, it's going to be Nick Sanchez versus Marcel Woodard. And I think it doesn't hit the ground. I think this is where Nick Sanchez says, hey, I got stand-up too. And he KOs Marcel. And then from there, we have in the finals, Nick Sanchez.
Marcel's like, what the fuck, man? I'm actually the one that's fighting here. And I lost in both tournaments.
But he won one fight in mine.
Okay, I think he won one fight in mine too.
And Nick Sanchez and Mike Knowles in the finals. I'm going to go with Mike Knowles on this one.
Yeah.
I just feel like, he just might be too big, too strong, and he wins my tournament.
There you go. All right. Now, this is what Tony from San Francisco did. The same thing where some cat out there said, if we divide the country in half and utilize the Russians, we can actually manipulate the vote and fuck up the whole country. Tony from San Francisco actually may have created a world war. I can only wait until the next Junky gathering when everyone's sitting there drinking going, Ghost said you could kick my ass, so you want to take this outside? So I definitely hope we didn't go down that road.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, all right, folks. As always, we had a blast doing the show. We got to get out of here, though. I got to head to California. Dan, I think, needs some rest. Ghost needs to make some mole. So, and Danny's got a... Do you have a concert this weekend, Danny?
Just writing new songs for our EP, actually.
Oh, okay. When's your next gig?
It's February 2nd, Friday.
Where at?
February 2nd. It's going to be down in Philly.
Oh, all right. All right, there you have it, folks. Follow him on Twitter, @DannyOtto. That's our producer. He's also the lead singer of a band called Automatic 254 or 252?
253.
253. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say.
I knew that. I knew that.
You went high, you went low.
Yeah. That was the joke itself. So we'll see you all on Monday. We'll recap the week, and we'll have another kick-ass week of mixed martial arts talk. For Danny and Dan and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there and be champions.